we have already established 81,000 village cooperatives. And each village cooperative will have their own warehouse, cold storage, will have their own mini supermarket, their own village drugstore, village clinic, etc., etc., etc. And each cooperative will be given financing to buy 2 trucks. So all their produce will be sent to the market. And there will be no more stories of, sir, our harvest is rotting, nobody's coming, da-da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, so I think this is going to be, an exciting time for Indonesia. I'm excited, and because I'm seeing this dream, this concept turning into reality as we sit here today.
And one of the things you've done was to wipe out old debts for a lot of small farmers and businesses that were around for years and years.
Yes, exactly.
Weren't going to be paid, so just wipe it out and let them have a fresh start.
I think at that time when I came in, even before I came in, in my campaign, a lot of these representatives from the farmers and from the small business came to me and, sir, we can't get any new loans because our debt of 25 years ago is still in the books of the banks. So I called some of the bankers, we discussed, and basically I understood that actually in the banks, right, after 25 years, most of these banks have been written off already in the books of the banks. So, of course, there are the conservative bankers who said, no, sir, we cannot, what example will it give for the other lenders, borrowers, right? So I said, these people, 25 years, they cannot pay back because of bad weather, because of natural disaster, etc., etc. No way can they pay back. So to be realistic, I said there is such a thing as forgiveness. So I said we forgive the debt.
Now, one of the things in what they call a macroeconomic sense you're doing is free trade agreements, and you have an agreement with the EU, European Union, to promote trade. Can you walk us through that?
Yes, I think this is one of the achievements of my team, my economic team, led by Mr. Ailangga Hartarto. He's been working very hard with his team, and we succeeded in getting the agreement through the CIPA, right? Indonesian European Union Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, CIPA. And I think this is a breakthrough because it came right when the American government started their tariff campaign. Can we say campaign?
It's a polite way to put it.
Right.
So I'm an American. I have more pungent words. So you have to be diplomatic.
So I think we need to. For us, it was a wake-up call, right? If I were an American, I understand the point of view of the Trump administration. I think, America cannot be, right? The whole world considers America to be a nice market, and then on the other way around, they don't also open their market to American goods. So there will always be, it's the duty of every leader to try to protect their people. But, if you go in a tariff war, where will it stop, right? But for us, it's a wake-up call. So So I said, now I tell my guys, my team, and I will talk to the business people. We must be more efficient. We must be more daring. We must be more, no, not always rely on an easy market. Oh, United States, United States. I think this is opening up. But yes, and then that's why now we have a CEPA with the EU. We also, I witnessed the signing of CEPA with Canada. And I think we are more and more trying to get these type of agreements with most markets, also with Latin America, yeah, with I think what RCEP and CPTPP, etc. So we also are joining OECD. We requested to join. We've joined BRICS. So we believe that we should, be in all the markets that we can. But basically, more important is actually the Indonesian market. We are nearly 300 million people. So we must actually boost our capacity, our buying power. That's why I want to really empower the poor of Indonesia. That will create domestic consumption.
When you campaigned, you gave your desire to increase the growth rate from 5% a year to 8% a year. What other steps are you taking? What industries do you see coming in the future to Indonesia? And what would you say to Americans and others about why they should invest in Indonesia today so you can get that 8% growth rate?
I think 8% is very achievable. It's very achievable. As I mentioned to you, for instance, even with this free meal program, we are creating directly 1.5 million jobs. Directly. And there's 30,000 kitchens times 50 people working in the kitchen. 2 or 3 shifts, so 50 people times 30,000, that's 1.5 million. So the economic experts tell me that 1% growth will create 400,000 jobs. Well, we created already 1.5 million jobs. That's 3%. And that's not even with the 81,000 cooperatives. There we calculate we'll also create at least another 15 jobs. But the beauty of the whole thing is that each kitchen has created 15 local entrepreneurs. One selling their eggs, the other one selling vegetables, the other one selling fish, this one selling meat, the other one so. And each of these 15 vendors or suppliers will have at least 5, 10, or 15 workers.
So foreign investors will be witnessing a growing economy which attracts capital.
I think so. Growing economy, and if these people have money, what do? They will buy shoes, clothes. They want to improve their housing. They want each to buy maybe motorcycle, a television. So I
corruption. You, when you were defense minister, you made it a point that any relative, if the name was on, came in for a contract, they would not get the contract. Relate the story first of a company that came in that made you an offer. They thought you couldn't refuse, but you did. And then walk us through quickly the things you are doing now to combat corruption, not just prosecutions, but making sure you have the personnel properly salaried so there's no excuse for payoffs. But first, relate the story about what happened to a particular defense company or a potential provider to get a contract. It was rather brazen.
Yeah. I mean, corruption is very difficult. Corruption, in my opinion, is a disease. Once it reaches stadium 4, like cancer, it's very difficult. But corruption, in my reading of history, corruption will destroy countries, nations, and regimes. So, yeah, I am determined to try to cut down corruption, and then sometimes the only thing is you must give the example, right? So yes, when I became Minister of Defense, the first night I became Minister of Defense, I remember I called in all my relatives, my nephews. I don't know if my brother was in the room, but I said, listen, I'm the Minister of Defense. Yeah, you guys cannot go into a Minister of Defense for any defense contract, right? Understand that. So that's what I try to do. But of course, after 2-3 months, you know, business people are very creative, right? Especially Indonesian business people. So they will find ways and means. And then one day I found one of my nephew coming to me, right, with a project. I said, oh, come on. You've never been in defense. You don't understand defense, okay? So no, you look for other business. So one time, we had a defense project conference in the Ministry of Defense. So my head of logistics reported to me, sir, we have these 250 projects. And let me report to you, project number 1, whatever. 3 companies in the short list. Company A, Company B, Company 3. Oh, by the way, sir, I would like to report in Company C, there's one of your nephews. Write him off. Go down the list. Oh, by the way, sir, in this project, your other nephews. Write him off. I wrote off all my family. And so in the comment, maybe I reported the names. And then they might have passed. So I had difficulty meeting my nephews for 3 or 4 months after that. But yeah, you have to give example. It's not easy, but you have to do it. And then now, the problem for Indonesia, I think, is this. If we can get this done well, I think very fast we will be the surprise of the world. For instance, I came into 2 islands of Indonesia, Bangka and Belitung, and we got a report there were 1,000 illegal tin mines. 1,000 on these 2 islands. And we were losing maybe 80% of our total tin production to these illegal miners and through smuggling. And I said this has to stop. I made a military training program with naval ships, airplanes, helicopters, drones, and we just blocked these 2 islands. No vessel can come in and out without us knowing what's inside. And basically, we stopped the smuggling. One sampan tried to go out. We found out there had tin on the sampans. Can you imagine? So, and then we confiscated several cases of tin ingots, rare earth, etc., etc. We calculated that we saved our country about a couple of $1 billion. So next year, the increase of tin production, we hope, will come back to its original position, and we should be earning maybe at least 3 or 4 times what we were earning last year. So this is just one example of what we recovered. We also, of course, I took over from the previous government, handed me over the problem of about, I was reported come to us, sir, out of the millions of hectares of palm oil, about 5,000 are in violation of the law. What? Yes. Oh, no, so not 5,000, 5 million. 5 million hectares are in violation of the law. So I said, I am sworn in to uphold the law. So I told my Attorney General, my state auditing board, carry out investigations. What you find out, if there's a case, terminate their concessions. And that's what we did. I think by as of this month, we have recovered about 3.7 million hectares of plantations that violated the law. One plantation, 2 plantations, one was 50,000, the other 50,000, violated the law. There was a Supreme Court decision to confiscate those 2 estates, those plantations. 18 years ago, Supreme Court of Indonesia decision, not carried out for 18 years. The Attorney General came to me and said, what, Supreme Court? Inkrah, so no more ways to appeal. So I said, carry out, execute. Sir, this and that, what? You guys afraid? I ordered my armed forces, you accompany this Attorney General's office, accompany the state auditors, protect them, go in there and confiscate. 100,000 we take over, and no problem. So I think this is the case, is the government now must enforce the law. And I'm determined to enforce the law, and I'm determined that the Indonesian government must be respected by everybody. The law is the law, regulations are regulations. Those who violate the law will have to deal with the law. So that's as simple as that. What I mean is, we are recovering a lot of assets,
Well,
by efficiency.
Taking, whether it's on the village level, enforcing the law,
Yes.
fighting corruption, dealing with the tax code. There have been a lot of protests, as you know, in your country and in other countries. People worried about the rise of the cost of living, inequality, but you seem to have embarked on a path where you're going to have a vibrant economy, but you're going to make sure, as the phrase goes, not only is no one going to be left behind, but they're going to be very much part of a moving forward, whether it's in a village or in Jakarta. And before we let you go, though, one other thing, since we have you here, we won't let you answer the question. You were recently in Egypt, invited by President Trump to witness the historic agreement. Can you share with us before you go observations about what you saw and what you think may be unfolding, which also underscores Indonesia's traditional foreign policy of trying to stay out of the elephants who get in fights with each other, the great powers, that you focus on growth rather than international disputes. But give us some quick observations about what you saw in Egypt. By the way, the president went to Egypt midnight on Sunday night, and what was it? A few hours later, you came back. Amazing. Give us some observations about what you saw.
Yes, it was very interesting. I think there was a sense that we are
A few hours later, you came back. Amazing. Give us some observations about what you saw.
Yes, it was very interesting. I think there was a sense that we are
Give us some observations about what you saw.
Yes, it was very interesting. I think there was a sense that we are